This is At the Post Live, Serling on Saratoga on 104.5 The Team, ESPN Radio.
As we come back, let us remind you that At the Post Live, Serling on Saratoga, is coming to you live from the Parting Glass Pub in downtown Saratoga and is presented by Naira Bets and Partners. The Belmont Child Care Association, save the date, August 24th for the Cirque de BCCA dinner and auction honoring Naira Board Chairman Michael Del Giudice at the Hall of Springs. As well as Special Olympics New York. Be a fan. Visit www.specialolympics.newyork.org for more information. We're not done yet. We've got another terrific guest. I am extremely happy to have Jimmy Toner coming to join us, and I'm sure many of you are familiar with Jimmy Toner, the man who has taken 2 incredibly tough beats in big races in the last few weeks.
Well, Andy, thanks for having me here tonight, but I'm still standing, so I survived the 2 tough beats.
Jimmy Toner, you've won 3 Dianas. That's incredible.
Yeah, well, I read before the Diana was Billy Mott won 4. I said, wow, that's incredible. You know that? And I got to thinking about it. I go, wait a minute. I won 3. So
you won 3 from,
yes.
I think, the late 90s. In a span of almost 20 years, you won 3, like 96 through 12 or something.
Yes. Well, I spaced them out. Every 10 years, I like to win one if I can.
Well, it's nice to have something to know you have to look forward to. And Recepta, of course, Jimmy trains Recepta, who lost by a nose in a 4-horse field. That was a very exciting race.
It was very exciting, yes, except if you want to.
Except you lost, right?
Yes, it was very not discouraging. It was disappointing, but not discouraging.
Well, it was nice at least for once she didn't get a terrible trip, because she's been very unlucky this year in 2 of her 4 races. I mean, I don't think she was being tepid, but she certainly should have won at Belmont earlier in the spring.
That was a horrible trip at the Naboe gate. She got knocked down coming out of the gate, and she got up and she was able to finish third. So it was a great effort on her part.
She's been good, and it's funny. The other horse we were talking about besides Recepta, and are you thinking of running Recepta back in the Boston Spa, or all these names being thrown around are starting to scare you?
I see
it's a scary group.
Karen's horse, with Karen's horse, Lady Eli, this, that one, and so we'll think about it.
She belongs, Recepta.
Oh, we'll see.
Yeah, mile 16th might be better than mile 8th. I'm working for the racing office here.
I can see that.
Time in Motion, your 3-year-old filly, who you're planning on running in Lake Placid?
Yes.
She lost a tough photo to Catch a Glimpse, who's undefeated she lost that race at the Belmont Oaks. I thought she ran extremely well. I thought Johnny gave her a great ride, just a little unlucky.
Well, I think, first of all, we got to give credit to the winner. She has won 7 in a row. She's a champion. She's a good horse. But I think the funny thing is, I think everybody underestimated her. Nobody expected her to go that far, and I think everybody was looking behind him, and nobody was looking in front. And she cut the corner and opened up 3, and next thing I knew was like, oh my, we're in trouble. But she ran great.
I think that's a terrific point. I mean, I know I underestimated Catch a Glimpse. Yeah. I don't think I thought she was as good as she was, and I didn't think she'd get a mile and a quarter. She might have run the best race she's ever run.
Absolutely.
But are you looking for another chance at her, a mile and an eighth in the Lake Placid?
We'll give it another shot.
Why not? I remember Time in Motion's debut was late in the meet here in Saratoga, and she finished 4th. And I happened to run into you. I was watching the race in the infield, and I ran into you just as I got back to the track from the infield, and you were livid. You said to me, you have to watch my horse. She should have won, and you were right.
Yes, it was a tough trip that day.
She had another tough trip. You ran her back in a stake in her next start. Is that true, in the Miss Griot?
Yeah, the thing about that was, I would talk to John Phillips after the race, and he said, I said, the filly should have won. He said, well, what was the plan if you would have won? I said, I would be running into Miss Grillo and then going to the Breeders' Cup. He said, well, she ran a winning race. But you know what? Just go through with it. Just do it. So I ran it back into Miss Grillo.
And if she had been a little luckier, she would have won the Miss Grillo.
I think so too, yeah.
She actually ran well in the Breeders' Cup.
Well, she had...
5th, was she?
She was 5th, could be the length and a half. But I miscalculated in the fact that I thought that running in the Miss Grillo and getting points for running in a graded stake would help me. But it didn't. I should have just broke my maiden. And because there were horses in there that broke their maiden, we're in a Breeders' Cup, and I was outside looking in.
That's an interesting point. I know Price Perfection had got in there for maiden win. That's an interesting point, actually.
So I won't make that mistake again.
Because she was the 13, and she got post 12 when somebody scratched, or even maybe moving farther out, actually.
I drew in number 14.
Yeah, that's not good. You mentioned the Phillips. You've been training horses for them for how long?
Over 20, 25 years, something like that.
And their family, they were involved. They were Darby Dan before that, or
Yeah,
involved.
Phillips is actually John Galbraith's grandson, and he's carried on the tradition of the Darby Dan racing. Phillips racing, because it's Darby Dan was the Galbraith, and he's had to carry it on to his own.
There, we were talking about the generosity. I was talking to Frank. I mean, they're one of the last of the families of the big name families they're sort of left a connection to Darby Dan.
I think so. When you look at it, you got Farish and John and Claiborne and Phipps's, and that's it.
It's really amazing how it's changed. Is there a reason you look back, we were trying, Jason Blewett and I, who I work with, we're trying to figure out, and we did remember one really good colt you've had lately, but you've pretty much
I had a colt when?
Flying Chevron. Flying Chevron.
Lately. It was 20 years ago.
20 years ago seems like yesterday to us, doesn't it?
Okay.
Is that how long ago it was?
Right, yes. I don't know. It's
Maybe it was. I think I bet him the Cigar Mile.
He did win the cigar. Well, it was the Naira Mile.
It was Naira Mile, right?
Yes.
That's how long ago it was, right?
Yeah,
So it really was over 20 years ago.
Yes.
Why all Phillies?
Well, that's what I've been given, like in the past 20 years or so. I haven't had clients to go out and buy any good colts. I've been relying on basically the Phillipses to bring me these fillies, and they sell the colts to keep the fillies. So that's where it's we're been able to continue on with the process with.
Have they sold any colts that went on and did really well?
No.
So that doesn't really. They would have done better for you, I'm sure.
Yeah, everything is fine.
Well, I mean, how big is your stable?
Well, I have maybe 12 or 13, something like that.
So compared to a lot of the people that we talk to, you're doing pretty. I mean, you've got 2 Grade 1 horses in your barn, basically,
Yes.
with a dozen horses.
Yes.
It's pretty remarkable.
Yes, it is.
Why aren't more people giving you horses?
I don't know.
I don't understand. Come on, there's some people. We've got Kieran and Christoph here hogging all the horses.
Is here, he's over there.
I mean, seriously, they should be giving you some more. Or are you winning with like?
Well, they don't turn them loose. These guys, once they get them, they don't turn them loose.
I've heard that they're like that. Well, We'll see what we can do about that. I want to talk about. So I'll tell you a story. Memories of Silver. Was she one of your not your first, but one of your earlier big horses?
Yes, and probably one of my favorites.
I will tell you, we're going to take a break in a second, but this is a story of why it's important, and I'm sure that Christoph and Kieran and Christoph could tell similar stories. I was on the backstretch with a friend of mine about 20 years ago, and you and I didn't know each other at all, and I was just somebody who went to the racetrack, and we went to the barn, and you took me over to see Memories of Silver in the barn, and took her to the stall to show her to me, and it was really, I mean, I'm a degenerate horse player, I've been in the track for a long time, but it was something I always remembered, and I think it's a good example of taking younger people, bringing them to the barn and doing something nice, how important it can be for them at the racetrack, and I think it's a lesson to all of us.
Well, I try to accommodate everybody, even if it's you. You know what I mean? So
you didn't know that
what
I was going to turn into, right? You thought I might be nice.
I think we're there, and you know what? I think that's part of as Karen was saying earlier, the industry, the horses, and this. I think it's things we should do, and if we can, I think it's generates interest, and it's helpful for everybody that's out there.
Well, it was certainly helpful for me. We have a lot more to talk about with Jimmy Toner, but we are going to come to a break. Stay with us as we come right back. At the Post Live is brought to you by Naira Bets. Join Naira Bets and earn up to 50,000 points and $100 cash bonus by using promo code SUNRISE. Sign up at NairaBets.com. Naira Bets, racing's best.